So my book was on Unbroken by Laura Hilbrand. The Unbroken was a story about a man who started off with a really bad start to his life and totally turned himself around, and he went to the Air Force. When he was little, he started smoking when he was 5, and he picked up cigarette butts off the ground and started smoking them. Yeah, as if cigarettes aren't gross enough in the beginning, but and then when he turned 7, he started stealing wine and beer from the table. He'd go under the table and take wine and beer, he'd go and he very, very good ones, actually.
Really?
Yes, they were really, really nice parents, and they'd let him do a lot of things, and they really let him live his life the way he wanted to. So he chose to have it like that. And one time he actually jumped off the end of a train, and when his parents came back for him, he said, "I knew you'd come back." And then another time he ran away for, I believe, a year. And then he came back, realized, what am I doing? But so his brother, when he went to school, and his principal never let him do any like school activities because he was so bad. So he wasn't allowed to do any school activities. But just let me move here so that we can see this. But he wasn't allowed to do any school activities because he was just so bad. The principal didn't want him interacting with other kids. But his older brother, who's like the angel, yeah, and his parents, even when he was young, they'd refer to him on hard decisions, but he actually had a dark side. He actually went because the kid he'd like go out and steal stuff, and like he'd have like stashes, but he'd only steal like food. Yeah. And he'd have like stashes of food and stuff all over, and every once in a while his brother actually went with him. Just his brother did track, and so his brother, being as charming as he is, he convinced the principal to let the kid whose name is Louis Zamperini, and he convinced him to let him do track. So he did track, and he was really bad at running. Anyone could outrun him. The smallest girls in the school could outrun him. Anyone could. But he was determined. He'd go onto the bottom of the pool and like grab onto the plug to increase his lung capacity, and several times the lifeguard went after him, and he was really determined, and he got really good. He started doing track, and he got really famous and people were saying that he was going to be the next one to get the world record, because he decided to start doing long distance, and so he got like really good times. He got something like, so the world record, I believe, was 4 minutes and 4 seconds, something like that, I believe, I forgot how much, but yeah, probably. And So, and Louis was getting really close. He was getting like 4:27. He eventually got so good that when he raced against a track team, they surrounded him and they were like slashing him with their cleats, their running cleats, and then he broke through and he still got a really good time. So he was a really good runner. But then he went to the Air Force, and so he got in and he flew a B-24, which is this. I made a B-24, and I know what you're thinking. It is very, very terrible looking. It doesn't look, it looks okay, but actually B-24s were really bad looking and really were really bad planes. Some of them literally would take off, woo, and they'd all die before they even got like.
Oh, that's that better plane.
Yes, but then when they later one in the book when they finally got to do like a good plane, it was like one of the nice like B-27s, which are like the nice ones. They called these the flying coffins.
Oh, that's
yeah, I heard of those.
But when they finally got to use a B-27, they had really warmed up to the B-24, and they called the B-27 not airworthy, when really the B-24 really shouldn't even be in the Army. So he went to the Air Force, and he escaped death plenty of times. He almost ran out of fuel when he was going to the island, and they got completely lost, and they just barely made it. I believe they ain't crashed on there, but they named their ship Superman. I know I wrote Iron Man, but I messed it up, and I also spelled Iron Man wrong, but I messed up, but whatever. And so they actually get hit, they get attacked by a Zero, and oh no, that was when they almost ran out of gas. They got attacked by a Zero, and a Zero is a Japanese ship. They're like, I think they call them Zeros because of the circle. This is a World War II story. So this is then, and so it had holes all over it, and they should have died, and a few of them did die, and some of them had to go home because they were so badly injured, and so they survived, some of them, and Louis and another guy named Philip, they became really good friends, and they were always in the same ship, but they only went through 2 planes. Because their ship was totally punched through, they got a B-27. That's when they called it not airworthy. But and they flew it, and that time Louis, he did something pretty funny. So all the men, they agreed to a rule, because they have lockers, and they store beer in their lockers, and so they all whenever a guy dies, they all drink his beer in it was just kind of like an army ritual that they did, and so they went out because they were looking for a plane that didn't come back. And so Louis, the funny thing he did was he said, "If I'm not back in 10 days, help yourself to the booze." So I thought that was pretty funny, and so they go, and they can't find him because back then, in this book, they have really bad lifeboats. They're like really small, like they're the size the size of a couch. So they're really small, and they don't have much supplies. But so they're looking for the boat, and they crash. Louis was actually right. It wasn't airworthy. They, I believe their engine went out, and they crashed into the sea, and so they did that, and so then so Louis, it actually describes what happened. He he went under, and he's surprised he didn't. He's like surprised he didn't get knocked out, and so and he pushes off part of the plane, and slams his back against another part of the plane, and he doesn't really think about it like the whole time, but it was actually really bad. He broke all his ribs.
Ooh.
Yeah, and broke all his ribs, and
That can't be healthy.
oh yeah, it's really unhealthy once you hear the rest of it.
Okay, well,
But
on that note, I'm going to give you one more minute to wrap up because you're giving us an awesome play-by-play, but we just want a summary. All right,
It's
1 minute. All right, here you go.
yes. And so then he comes up, and only he, Philip, and Mac, he survive, and they only have a few supplies actually. So, and the only thing they have is some fishing line, a hook, and some chocolate. So.
Wow.
It's special chocolate that for the army that it's it has tons of calories and protein. So Mac incidentally loves chocolate. The next morning all the chocolate's gone. And so then later they're on the sea for a really long time. And as Zero comes, they think it's one of their ships. It shoots at them, and they all survive. And then they have to patch the holes, because there's tons of holes in it. And so then they're on for a super long time, and Mac died. It was sad. Mac died. Yeah, the guy who ate all the chocolate bars, he died.
Useless chocolate.
Then they eventually landed on an island, and some really nice Japanese people find them, and they move camps several times.
Too, and some really nice Japanese people have them?
Yes, actually there were nice people back then. So.
People by the race.
Oh
Mhm.
no, I'm not.
No, it's just that Japanese were kind of evil
During that time period.
So.
I'm not judging them by the race. I'm just saying that during World War II, you wouldn't exactly expect the Japanese to welcome
They
them.
weren't. But I believe it was actually like by law that you had to be nice to POWs, prisoners of war. So
They were POWs by now?
because they got captured, and then they got sent to multiple camps. And you're gonna have to read the book to see. Do Louis and Philip stay together? Do they survive? Did they ever make it back to their families? Read the book to find out.